wind blowing real good. Okay, too hot. Hey, we're back again. We have gotten most of the framing done on the bus, as you can see. I'm going to be installing the diesel heater and finishing up some of the framing on the walls. I got my little heater in here just to warm things up. I think it's in the 50s today, so the stuff I have to do on the outside, it's gonna be a little chilly. The plan for the heater is this whole back half. So this whole back half of the bus is actually going to be raised. There's going to be a stepping into the hallway, and then the bathroom, hallway, and bedroom are actually all going to be on a raised platform just over the height of the wheel wells. So to get a good, I drew on here, you can see, to kind of get a good even distribution of heat once everything's in, we're putting the diesel heater here. This is actually as close to the wheel well, so underneath it's going to be taking up limited space for where we might be putting in water tanks and under storage. And then I can actually route it. We have it teeing off and then coming over, and it'll blow out the front of the step into the living room area. And then we have one coming up into the bathroom. It won't be in the middle of the floor like it looks like here. It'll actually probably be moved over and then maybe stubbed out into a wall, or coming out underneath the kitchen bathroom cabinet. And then it also goes out, and it will come out not in the hallway section, but probably out from this wall into the bedroom area. On all of those, I plan on putting an adjustable flap, if you will, so we can adjust how much is being distributed everywhere. And then there will probably just be like a little cable, kind of like they had on like a lot of old cars, like cable driven, kind of like a choke adapter for anyone who knows. But basically, so I can adjust the actual, where the ducts are flowing the air and how much. So that'll be a little bit adjustable, because with how close it is, the bathroom would probably get superheated instantly because of its close proximity. So we might have that one closed more, and then have one, maybe the living room and bedroom, open more. So, and then we can adjust it as we see fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and start unboxing. I have the Lavaner, it sounds French, diesel heater that so many people are familiar with. It is the Alpine Pro version. So it does have that adjustable mixture for when you're going up and down in altitude. So that's what I'm doing. This isn't really so much, it's not going to be like a step-by-step. I will be going over a lot of what I'm doing, but there's plenty of great videos out there of people doing critical step-by-steps. I'll be doing a little bit broader and just giving some details where I see fit. Because we're not built out, there are going to be a lot of things, mostly the wiring, like thermostat placement, electrical hookup, that's going to be temporary. We don't have, even though I have our junction box, we don't have our electricity run. I don't have solar on the roof or anything like that. So the actual hookup for the heater will be kind of temporary, but I do have a box for it, so where it can be wired in later. And then I have my thermostat box up here. Again, this is protected from all the spray foam and all of that, and then be running the wiring up there. But this is where I'm going to be mounting it. Exhaust will be going out, and I'll show you that. So I'm going to get to it and look forward to hopefully having some diesel heat today. All right, so I have most of the things for the diesel heater laid out. We got our heater, some mounting plates there, our exhaust and intakes, exhaust tubing, muffler, intake, all of that. Our electricals over here. Most of our fuel things are right here. The lines, pickup tube, filter, and pump. Some of the things I've added is my drill bit set and tap set. I have some of this flexible wire protector, split loom, my 5-inch hole saw, some grease, my drills, and then this is part for like stove piping and things like that. That's what I'm gonna do to line that. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to find my exact location on the outside and inside, measure that. Nice thing is I do have a hat channel here, so I can reference the hat channel rivets and everything on the outside, bring it in on the inside. I do have a little bit of room here. I brought an extra long drill bit to kind of help as a locator, but it actually should be pretty easy finding the place, and I have a couple inches to play with in both directions. So first thing to do is going to be probably go ahead and drill that, get it taken care of, get the heater mounted, which basically it kind of mounts like so. I got this will get trimmed down and actually go into the hole as well, and this will just act as an extra protective barrier inside where the wood is and the insulation. And then after that, we'll just keep moving on. I have to tap the tank. I'll show you that over here. So this is the access to the top of my fuel tank. You'll see I kind of have it set up. I have the original plate here, and then I also have the foam board mounted to this wood. So it just adds as much insulation as possible. Also, with having the metal plate there will help keep out bugs and things like that. So this is the top of my tank. That is my pickup that I've been cleaning up this whole area. Opened up this metal hole just a little bit. You can see where it was just like a circle. And what I'm gonna do is set up a few things. I'm gonna drill and tap the tank and actually insert I'll insert the pickup line. That's just going to, I'm gonna actually drill and tap that, so that will thread in. We won't have to use the nut. It'll just tighten into the top of the tank and then connect all my fuel lines. So first things first, let's start making some big holes. All right, so I went ahead and drilled a pilot hole underneath the bus where it had to be. The framing on this bus is a lot closer than some others I've seen. I'm drilling a 5-inch hole for this, and I have almost exactly 5 inches of space between the ribs. So I'm glad I did drill it, and you can kind of see pretty close to actually where my sketch was, moved over just a little bit more. So that's the center, that's the depth from the wall that I need, and then also centering it between the frames. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my big hole saw, drill this out, and then we'll move on to the next step. So the trick to this not breaking your wrist is actually going lighter. A lot of people just want to lay into these hole saws, and they absolutely can catch and just almost rip your hand off, which can still happen. You do need to be careful and brace it. But what I found is actually going lighter and almost doing a pulsing or rotating. And again, you do have to be careful. It can still catch, but by doing that, I've had great success. It's a lot less likely to kick back like that and have problems. So we got drilled through, and I'll just show you how close we were to that frame rail. And then this one, this is the inside of the, it's a C channel, and so it's actually several inches lower, so it won't be in the way, and could be trimmed a little bit if needed, but I don't think we'll need to. And it just missed that one. That's the one that would have been touching. So, cool. All right, so here's something I wanted to show you. Because I had to drill a pilot hole from the bottom up because my tolerances were so tight, I had to use a larger drill bit than's on my hole saw. And if anyone's ever used a hole saw and knows, like, if you're drilling in just to an open area, like if you have a bigger hole and you're trying to make it bigger, it's almost impossible to get that cut. So a little trick is I actually screwed a piece of wood underneath the bus, and this allowed my pilot hole, you can see the smaller drill bit for these hole saw had a place to center itself, because I tried to do it with the bigger hole, the 1/2-inch hole, and it would just wobble around. You can kind of see that on the edge of that, how it was uneven. So drilling that on, and that just dropped down, and that just makes it a little easier. And that's actually a great tip for any hole saw drilling that you're doing. All right, I got all of my connections attached to the bottom of the heater. You'll see that I have the exhaust tubing. This is your intake, which you can tell the difference. The intake and the fuel line are going to be closest to each other. So the exhaust will be on the other one. I got the hose attached on there, and then I even, this was extra, I drilled a hole. I don't know how well you can see it. I drilled a hole in the plate. There is room underneath of it. Ran the fuel pump wire through that, and then it's also got a grommet. Anytime you're going through anything, especially metal, it's a good idea to have a grommet on there for chafe protection. So this is all ready. I just need to now trim down this piece, attach it in there, and that'll give me extra protection. If this was deeper, it wouldn't be as bad, but I do only have 2 inches of insulation here, so it's actually not terrible, but I'm still gonna trim this down so it fits in there. Gives me extra protection, also helps guard from any type of moisture, insects, things like that getting into the bus through this area. So I'm gonna work on that and then can put this in place, and then we'll move on to the next part. All right, so I got my little protective ring here trimmed down and put in place. You'll actually see I went ahead and put some screws into the wood. That just helps hold it in place, let it overlap a little bit. And then the reason I like this one is because it has that groove on the bottom, and you put a little sealant in that, and then that groove like sandwiches with the sheet metal on the bottom. So instead of it just coming straight through like this, it's actually got that little groove, kind of a C groove, and that's actually cupping the bottom. So that gives you a nice good seal underneath there. So now I just got to put this in place, get it screwed down, and then I can attach all the pieces on the bottom of it, run my fuel lines, and get my tank tapped. All right, so I got everything tidied up. I added my fuel line onto this, so I don't have to mess with any of this once it's actually installed. Now, anytime you're making a hole into your bus, you do want proper sealant. It makes sense for moisture. Insects is something sometimes we don't think about. They can get in anywhere. So what I'm actually gonna be doing is, after this is all installed, I have the whole system checked up, I'll actually pop this up a little bit before I secure all my lines and everything, and squeeze in a bead of sealant underneath here. That'll give us a nice seal. It'll actually fill in all the like rough surface of the wood, so we have a good bond, and that way there's no area for any insects or anything to get through. Another fun thing that you can do, this is an alternate mounting plate, and something you can actually do with these, which I don't think a lot of people do. They don't think about how to seal this whole area, because really, the more your bus is sealed, the better. I know I've seen builders where they actually leave this hole open in the bottom, and you can see all up in here. And the problem with that is you're actually losing a lot of your insulation value because all you have is the plate and the heater sitting on top of it. So actually what I'm gonna do is take this alternate plate, and before I hook up my muffler, before I hook up everything else, I'm actually gonna slide this on to the bottom and attach it to the bottom of the bus. And that way all you have are these small mounting holes to deal with, to actually block up, and there's even a provision for your fuel line. You could even put, if you can kind of see there, you can even put a little grommet right there, and that way it actually seals up. It's a little air cavity, so there's no insulation in there, but you're also blocking air from the outside, not just the inside. There we go. So now we got our wire coming in. This goes to the rest of the harness, which will be plugged in. Once this is all set, I'm gonna go ahead and screw this into place for right now. And then, like I said, once I get the system checked and everything's working, I will pop this up just a little bit and squeeze in some filler there, some type of sealant. So I'm not going to use liquid nails or anything, and that's because I want this to be removable if I ever need to service it or anything, and not have to do it from the bottom, so I don't have to be under the bus sitting there trying to get those bolts and everything out. I can actually just loosen everything under the lines and then just pull this up from the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and get this screwed down, and then I'll move to the outside and start figuring out how I'm going to run my fuel line, and then we tap the tank. All right, so we're outside of the bus. I have all of my stuff in a box here, everything I'm going to need. I even have the box that it all came in to lay down in the gravel. Because I'm going to be under the bus, went ahead, made sure I had some goggles, so any of that crap that's going to be falling down, because there's going to be isn't getting into my eyes or anything. It'll be probably hard to set up under here, but I'll try to show you what I'm doing and we'll go from there. All right, so here we are under the bus. You can see right here some of my pieces poking out, and you know, exhaust and everything. I'm gonna run over here. I'll probably end up drilling a hole in this. Might not need to, but I think I'm probably gonna go ahead and do that. Also route your intake, you have your fuel line, and then the fuel pump wires. So you want it to be up and out of the way. I have this nice big chunk of the frame here. I might go ahead and attach it to it directly across from it. But we'll take a look. I'm going to spend some time, figure out what I might want to do and how I'm going to run my wiring. I also do have protector tubes. I also have the line and wire protectors that this will end up running through. The nice thing is about that split loom is you can put it on after, which I might end up doing. So we're just going to kind of see and kind of go from there. Again, you do have road hazards. There are sticks, boards, rocks, things like that, branches that will be up underneath it here. So just being mindful, because where it might look good, just sitting still, you have to think about when you're actually on the road, how things might act, where things could be snag, stuff like that. So, all right, so it's been a little while. I had to run out to the store for a few things, but I do have everything mocked up in place. Under here, back by underneath where my diesel heater is, and you can see I have everything coming out here. Here is a great example. So right now, this is all opened up in here, and what we can do is, sorry, I'm under here. So what we can do is we can take this plate, and what that'll give us, this needs trimmed down, but it'll block off all that extra. These pipes will come through like that, and the pipes will come through it, and then I just have little bits to seal up. And that'll help keep, again, another just kind of wind and air block, but we can also add sealant to that, add sealant around the intake side of things, probably don't want to mess with the exhaust, but that just helps just, again, seal that whole area just even more. Nice little block off plate. But, so what we have here is coming out the intake. This will probably just get mounted up under here somewhere. I don't know yet. We have the fuel line and the fuel pump, and I have that mocked up here. They wanted to add a certain angle within a certain range, so we got that right here. And I don't have any of the wire loom on anything yet because I want you to be able to see it all. But this is going to get kind of mounted up and away from the exhaust pipe as much as possible. And I'll have it run across here, and then it goes to the fuel pump. Now you'll see it in the manual, the side that you plug in is generally the side that's going towards your heater. So that's how you want to have it. Again, none of these are actually tightened up. These connectors, I'm not a huge fan of. They're supposed to be high pressure connectors, but they're just a cheap version. So not a huge fan. I'm actually going to be replacing them. And you'll see this line goes over here and goes to the fuel filter supplied with it. Again, nothing's really, I just have it all kind of, these components mounted, and then I still need to get all the line covered and mounted. What I'm going to do is, you see a split loom. I went ahead and took a piece here as an example. This will go over the whole line from the hose all the way to each component. And the way I'm going to hold it is these hose clamps. Let's see. All right, you can kind of see this hose clamp. Once that's tightened down, that'll actually hold everything in place. And that's what I'm going to do just periodically throughout the whole line. And especially where it bends and goes in different areas, we'll have it attached just to give it a little more rigidity, and that way it's not moving around as much. But this is where we're at here. I need to connect the plug to this, the plug ends. This allows you so you can drill a small hole and then attach everything here. And then basically what I'll do is this will be wire loomed together. I'll shorten the wire as much as I need, and the excess wire will be on the inside. All right, so that's where I'm at right now, and what I'm gonna do is clean things up and go from there, go on the inside. One little mistake that I made, these fuel filters are directional, and when I was hooking this up right here, I forgot the direction. So it looks like it'd go this way, or go this way, but with this particular fuel filter, the direction is this. So what I actually would need to do is have this line loop over to this side, and then the supply line will come and actually loop here, because these are directional. So I'm gonna do that, get everything tightened up, get all the split loom on, start adding these connectors, and then I will move to the inside where we'll connect it to the pickup. I have some of the wiring cleaned up a little bit, and then I will have to add power and we can test the system. All right, so before I go outside and underneath the bus to run everything, I'm gonna go ahead and drill and tap the tank. There's a few ways to do this, some more right than others. The most proper way to drill a tank is to actually drop it out of the bus, go ahead and drill and tap it there, and then clean it out really well. You are gonna have some metal particulates going down in. Those will be in your system, and they can work through, end up clogging up filters and things like that. There are plenty of people who say it's not a big deal, your tank's already dirty anyway. And to that I say, no. Yes, our tanks are dirty. We don't want to keep adding, especially metal particulates to it. And especially if if you're a builder who's charging people, you absolutely should not be doing that. The proper way is to go ahead and pull that tank. Now I'm going to be pulling my tank later on and cleaning it out. I don't know what condition it's really in. And you know, if for something that's 20 years old or so, it's probably about time to get that cleaned out, put new seals where the pickup tubes are, check all the fittings, and really just give it a once over. It's a really good thing to do. And it's not terribly difficult. You could just run your bus until your tank is low, or you could even get a siphon kit. They're not expensive, and actually siphon out that diesel so you don't want to drop a full tank. And that way it'll be much easier to drill. You can guarantee that you get it all cleaned out. Maybe even run a sealant in it if needed, just to really freshen up the tank. You don't want to be driving all around and, you know, clogging up fuel filters and such. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not dropping the tank right now, and we are gonna be driving it. So I do expect to actually replace the fuel filter sooner than later. I'm not going to be dropping my tank right now. So there's a few things I'm going to do to try to reduce the amount of particulates going into my tank. One thing is I'm going to be taking advantage of magnets attached to the drill. And the thing you'll probably see posted the most, it's kind of an older, I always heard about it in the automotive industry. If you're like having to drill a hole in your intake or something, but adding grease to your drill bits and taps. Yes, it does grab some of it. No, it does not grab all of it. So that is something you just want to be aware of. If you are doing this without dropping your tank, do expect to have crap in it. And just because there might already be some in there is not a good reason to add more, especially with metal. So I'm going to go ahead and drill and tap this hole. And then, as you'll see what a lot of people do, is I'm going to take this pickup tube and I'm going to see where it touches the bottom of the tank. I'm going to lift it up. I'm not doing the math. You definitely could. I have a rectangular tank, so it wouldn't be too difficult to actually figure out how many gallons I want to have as extra, and then how short to make this. I'm going to pull it up probably, I think 2 or 3 inches. And that's where I'm gonna cut it. So I don't know how much gallon reserve I'm leaving in there. It's a 100-gallon tank. So you guys can do the math, but I'm not super worried about it because just like my vehicles, I try not to let it run really a half or quarter tank. So especially on long trips. So that's what I'm gonna do. Probably, yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do. And we'll keep going from there. Oops. So that's a lot of it that it did grab. Imagine how much it didn't. check it out, magnet on there, and then you can see how much it's grabbing to. All right, from the top of the tank to the bottom inside is 13 1/4. So I want to remove, I'm going to do 2 or 3 inches. So if it was 13 1/4, maybe I'll do 13, 12 1/4, 11 1/4 is 2 inches. Maybe like 10, do 2.5 inches. So that'd be 10 3/4. 10 3/4 inches. So I'll need to measure from here, from the pickup itself, 10 3/4 inches, mark it there, and that'll give me the proper depth that I want. So I'm going to double check that and adjust if I am wrong. But yeah, so that's what we'll do, and get it marked and cut, and then we can thread this in. I took that nut off that is designed to be able to tighten it, and I'm just actually going to be threading that in, as you can see right there, with the O-ring. All right, I got it cut, and you want to be very careful when you're cutting this. This is so thin that it's super easy to block off the hole, the pickup tube. So you want to use some type of deburring bit or tool and make sure, if you can see that, you really get that cleaned out. Right after I cut it, you could maybe fit like a sewing needle inside of it. So make sure So make sure you deburr it inside and out, and then also blow out any of the pieces, because that's the same thing with this line. You definitely don't want any crap going up through there being stuck inside, so we don't want any of those particulates. So I'm going to go ahead and install this, and then we can go under the bus. I can start running the fuel line, figure out where my pump's going to be, exhaust, and all of that. All right, it's starting to get a little cold out and a little dark, so I'm going to show you where I'm at, what I have left to finish, because I probably won't get it on camera. Still need to hook up the intake and exhaust. There's a muffler that gets added onto that, so this will probably get pulled up out of the way up here, and then the exhaust, you can see, is routed out. It's going to go out towards the wheel well. I have the fuel and electric line run through there, and I ran out of clamps, so I'll put another one here that runs to, and it's connected, if you can see this, to the fuel pump. And I have this running. This will get a few clamps, and then I fixed my routing on the fuel filter. So the flow is through this way, so I had to route from the tank into this side and then out here. This possibly will get changed later on, just depending on like if I get a different fuel filter, but for now that will actually work. Still need to put a few more clamps over here, and then you can kind of see it barely. It's routing up actually in the channel, so up and protected over to the fuel tank. So I got some new hose clamps from the store. I'm going to go ahead and replace and tighten all these, and then get the whole system buttoned up. Hey friends, we're wrapping up the diesel heater install, and a little bit of time has passed, so there's going to be some spoilers popping up that you'll see in future videos. But today what we're going to be doing is finishing installing and mounting the intake portion of the diesel heater and the exhaust. Now, how I've had it for a while, it's just kind of dangling down behind this, not touching anything, and we haven't been driving anywhere. So it hasn't been an issue, but I did want to finish it up, installing the muffler that comes with the kit, and then also installing this little bulkhead through exhaust pipe that I'm going to put right here. It'll help clean things up. It'll give it a nice exit from out underneath the bus, and we'll go ahead and label it and let people know that they should not touch it. The only thing I've done so far is I cut the last couple inches of the exhaust pipe off that comes with the Lavaner kit, I think is the name of it. And we're going to be attaching the exhaust pipe to the original pipe coming down. And then we have this will be our connector from the muffler to our little bulkhead fitting. And we'll drill a hole, and that'll be mounted right there. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm probably gonna go ahead and cut the hole first, and that way I know where this is going and we can start mounting everything together. That bit is super dull. Let's see if I can. Just deburring the holes a little bit. I don't have my normal tool, deburring tool. It's at the workshop, but I found that you can use old little multi-tool blades, and they don't do a bad job. They don't do the best job either, but this is not something I plan on messing with or anything once this is all done. except for when we go to paint. There we go. I'm gonna mark these because I'm gonna trim them because they're like 3 inches long, which is ridiculous. There is a gasket that goes in here, but we don't need 3 inches. Alright. I'm gonna trim these up. I got all those trimmed down. Get this lined up. It's got a back piece. There we go. And the nut started on there. Right, got them started. Come on. All right, time to get on the inside, tighten all these up, and then we're simply going to attach our muffler on here and attach it to the exhaust right here. Should be pretty simple from here on out. Well, hey friends, we're here in a tight spot. I am leaning up against the tires. I have my exhaust pipe here. Here is our exhaust tailpipe, if you will, going through the back. It's all tightened up there. And then we have our muffler. And essentially what I'm doing is using a series of hose clamps to clamp this little piece of hose between here and the tailpipe, and then this part of the muffler to the actual exhaust pipe. So that's essentially what I'm doing with very little room. And I am using these. I got good ones. I paid almost $2 a piece for these. So they're very nice, very robust hose clamps, but they're still just your regular automotive hose clamps. I am gonna see if I can Amazon some like heavy duty, maybe something meant for heat, and swap them out later. It's a nice thing. I could zip them in and out in a couple minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to do all that with very little room. Go. Oh. Ugh. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. And one more. Just a touch tighter. There we go. All right. Because this is attached on such a short length right here, I'm not worried about mounting this. Although it is so close, I almost could. But I'm not. You can see it got real stiff right there. I'm not super worried about it. Maybe after it runs a little bit and I swap these out, we'll see how it's sitting, and maybe we'll throw one more. So the only thing left is we got our little intake pipe here, and I mount it up and away over here. So it's up high away, so when we're driving, you won't be getting as much dirt and everything from underneath. It'll be a little bit more protected. And as you can see here, this is our outdoor condenser, I think is what they're usually referred to as, our outdoor unit, which we'll talk about in a later video. But it will have a screened in door here, so we'll be able to get a lot of fresh air up here. So I'm gonna get outside, we're gonna attach this, and then fire it up. All right, so we have our little intake here, and I'm just going to use a self-tapper with this little hose clamp and just attach it right there so it's up and out of the way. It's not getting in the way. We'll have the door right here that will have plenty of fresh air going through, so should give it a nice little spot to breathe. Let's see, it's gonna go. Right there. So I'm gonna pre-drill it. Okay. Just drop everything. Awesome. That's all set. Let's go fire it up. All right, as I said before, we have lots of spoilers going on in here, so I'm gonna try to limit it as much as possible. Here's our little thermostat that comes with the unit. And got it on. Looks like the last time I ran it for about 30 minutes. We'll go ahead and do that. I don't know if you can hear it, it just kicked on. So it like ramps up and then calms down for a second while it waits for the fuel to come through and for the glow plug to start firing up, and then it'll fire up again. I have it right now kind of temporarily piped over here to come out this, and I can feel just the slightest cool air coming on. So let's go outside and see what's going on. If you can hear that clicking, that means the pump is working. Can you hear it? It smells like diesel. It's fogging up the lens. All right, and it's really gearing up in here. I think I have the fan set at the highest. This pipe's already getting warm. There's already air coming out of here. I thought I'd kind of show you what it might be doing. Probably heating up too quick. Yeah. And it is hot, like on my fingernails, it's getting real hot. And blowing real good. Ow. Okay, too hot. All right, so there you have it. It wasn't terribly difficult to install. It did take me a little while to finish up the exhaust, but we've been running it the whole time without a muffler. Not terribly loud, but if you're in a campground, you probably would want it a little bit quieter. You don't really hear it on the inside a whole lot. Yeah, super pumped. Ready to show you the rest of the stuff that we have going on that you've probably seen little teasers of in this video. And until next time, guys. I'm gonna run some self-tappers in it for tonight. It's also getting real windy, so I'm trying to get this done. And these are hex head self-tappers. Again, this is more just to kind of weatherproof it a little bit for the night.